So apparently, YouTube, along with I'm assuming a few other related sites, seem to be cracking down on a lot of things, and much to the chagrin of people like Angry Joe and I'm sure James Rolfe and Doug Walker, some very established, Lynn Cara, if you will, some very established, well-renowned YouTubers, including those that have reached statuses that are beyond, unbelievable for where they've basically reached milestone-wise when it comes to subscriptions and viewership and all that. But it seems that YouTube, Google, if you will, is changing a lot. Basically changing the policy. And you would have to ask yourself, well, why would they do this if they give you the option to say that no, the video is not meant for kids, and it's got this stuff in it? Why would they do this? And I think what's going on, in my opinion, is that somehow, some way, with a lot of these unfortunate tragedies going on, around the country, if not the world, with shootings and stuff like that happening at public schools and stuff. I mean, the most recent and shocking one being with that 6-year-old. My opinion on this, as to why, things are changing at YouTube and why they're demonetizing, things like, Angry Joe's list for worst video games of 2022 or disappointing games and stuff like that, due to the content that it has, is due to the fact that obviously they've probably been getting some criticism. Now, I'm not saying this to kiss up, but we know that with any established company out there, that they will get a lot of criticism. A lot of people will point to them as part of the, I guess you could say, part of the issue for what's going on. And since YouTube is a mega platform, if you will, it's going to basically have a major target on its back, and it's going to have a major target on its front, where people are going to point to them and say, you're part of the issue. You're the reason this is happening. You're letting people put these video game playthroughs and stuff like that on your channel, and you're not doing anything about it. And worst of all, you're allowing them to make money. That's why, in my opinion, we're starting to see these changes, because it's Google and YouTube's response to basically saying, okay, we get it. We get you're angry, we get you're upset. You know what? We'll do what we can to change. We'll do what we can to change. And what's crazy is it's not just YouTube either. It's not just YouTube either. Even though they don't showcase it as much, platforms like Twitch, platforms like VENMO, platforms like BitChute, Daily Motion, you name it, Meta Cafe, if it's still around, you name it. They too are cutting back. On these kind of situations. They too are trying their best, in their opinion, their point of view, to make the platforms cleaner because of the environment we're in today and because of the things going on. This is why sometimes, even though VENMO is looked at as the second biggest platform outside of YouTube and even Twitch, when it comes to uploading, live broadcasting and stuff like that, this is why VENMO is utilized sometimes as basically, a place to put, a lot of content, that, hopefully, less than likely with a platform like YouTube will not get demonetized, will not get flagged, because it's not on that tier that YouTube's at. I mean, they're basically like right in the middle. They're right in the middle. Yes, they do deal with, major studios and major, companies and all that. They do. There's no doubt. But they're more about letting the artist, if you will, the independent artist, the content creator shine. That is why people flock to them. That is why when you go to that person's YouTube channel, like let's say Bob Show's YouTube channel or Chris Lee Moore, Rowdy C's YouTube channel, this is why they will give you a trailer of what, they just did content-wise, but then lead you via link to either VENMO or the other option they feel is the better alternative, when it comes to broadcasting, and sharing their content. Sometimes they'll just flat out go to Google Docs. Yeah, they will go to Google Docs or even Newgrounds or OnlyFans. Yeah, people will create an OnlyFans. I mean, that long-haired creepy guy with a long-haired creepy guy, TLHCG, has not only a VENMO, but he also has, and a Newgrounds, I'm pretty sure, but he also has an OnlyFans. This is why you're seeing these kind of pop up, because these outlets are less likely to get trounced by the public for allowing certain content to be showcased. Now, here's the thing though. We have seen in the past that YouTube, sites like YouTube/Google, kind of listen to the fans, take a lot of the criticism they have and fix things. Now, Joe Vargas said in a recent AGS News video they put up on Monday, I think it was the first one, he basically talked about the fact that, a lot of the videos recently that he'd done, the list that I mentioned, have been demonetized. And, even though you can still view them, they had been demonetized due to the fact that some of it contained certain things in there that were maybe only a few seconds or something like that. And, one of the big issues that YouTube has been cracking down on lately is the swearing, which is why obviously you're hearing less swearing in videos like what James Rolfe does for as Angry Video Game Nerd. You're hearing it, but you notice that he's saving it for like the middle, because obviously the policy from what YouTube has said is it's only within the first 30 seconds to minute of the broadcast of the video that if you swear, you're going to get demonetized. Which is obviously why you see with James Rolfe, he's carefully making sure that he doesn't do any actual major swearing until like the middle of the video. And that's kind of hard because with people like Angry Joe Vargas, his name is Angry Joe. His online name, his persona is Angry Joe. Being angry, he's going to swear. He's going to use profanity. A lot of people will. But again, this is one of the things YouTube wants to crack down upon, because apparently, basically, again, I'm assuming, my opinion, they're getting called out for being one of the major reasons why a lot of these issues with kids and stuff are going down the way they are. But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. The only reason YouTube would be targeted, in my opinion, YouTube and Google, is because of the fact that they themselves, yes, they do share the blame, but I think it's a blame that's not because of the content they allow. No, it's a blame due to the fact that they need to actually. This is my opinion, because here's the thing. Here's the thing, okay? So there are numerous websites out there that require you to have passwords, right? Or verifications to prove you are the actual person. We do it the face scan, or it's basically answering some questions. Here's my thing with YouTube. If you want to make sure that no young kids, if you will, you want to make sure that they are not getting access to these videos and all that, what you need to do is crack down upon that. You need to put in a policy that maybe, and maybe they are considering it. I'm not saying they are, but maybe they need to put in a policy that states, hey, when you log in, to prove you're the actual user, we're going to have you, answer, well, not answer, but basically put together 4 questions. You're going to choose randomly from 4 questions that only you will know the answer of. And once you put the answer, we'll know it's you. Again, I'm not going to say they're not thinking of doing that, because that might be one of the best solutions to go, to come up with. So that way it'll be less and less likely for younger kids to gain access to content they cannot get, that they can't, I shouldn't say, but shouldn't, get access to. I think that's probably the direction they're going to go. I mean, that's the only way I think anybody like Joe Vargas, James Rolfe, Doug Walker, and others are going to probably get the monetization back. It's mainly because of the fact that YouTube will have to probably put something like this in place. They will. Now you might say, it's not going to stop young kids from falsely putting in, a wrong age and all that, and saying, oh, we're this age and da-da-da. That's true. I'm not saying it won't stop them. But here's the thing. The parents could put parental guidance, is what they could do. And I think that's what YouTube is going to have to do too, unfortunately. They're going to have to put parental guidance, or at least they're going to advise the parents to go onto the computers, the laptops they have in their home, and put a parental code in there that only they know, even on the kid's laptop, so that the kid cannot access YouTube or access certain content on YouTube, because it's not YouTube themselves that are preventing it, it's the parental code put on the computer. And if that's what YouTube has to do, or the parents have to do in response, then so be it. So be it. If that's what they have to do, that's what they have to do. I'm not saying any of this would happen, but these are probably solutions that hopefully they've, they're considering. Because right now, I'll be honest with you, this is not a good look for YouTube or Google or any of the related sites like VENMO or Dailymotion or BitChute or MetaCafe, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. It's not a good look for them to even try, any of this, or even to cut down on certain things that honestly is, beyond their control. It's beyond their control. They need to basically come up with a solution that prevents this from happening. I mean, what's the point? What is the point, ladies and gentlemen, of giving us an option to say, hey, our videos are not for kids, if basically you can't even keep your algorithm or your automatic systems or whoever or whatever, in check, constantly, look at them daily and say, oh, this is not right. This video isn't for kids. Why are we saying this? What's the point of having that if it's not going to be utilized? Basically you're going to overlook it. You're going to ignore it. What's the point? There is none. There is none. But again, like I said, YouTube right now, Google, because they are the bigger platform, and despite all these options they're giving us, and some of them are good options, despite all of that, because they're a bigger platform, they are viewed, on this stage, to where they have a target on the front and back of them that's easy for the woke culture, the SJWs, the council culture, and anybody else related in those categories to come after them, for allowing certain things to happen, for allowing certain people, to provide the content that they do, that they feel is an influence, a negative influence, on the younger generation. And here's the thing. It's not just, here's the thing. Yes, YouTube might, if does need to take responsibility if that's the case, but the thing is, it also falls upon the parents. We know that. So if I'm the parents, and I know I'm also at fault of this, then again, if my computer or my laptop that I have in the house, or the various computers and laptops I have in the house, allow me to do so, you know what I do? I put a parental lock on that thing. I put a parental lock on it that prevents my child, my teenager, from accessing content they should not be accessing. Whether it's YouTube content that's not for them, whether it's video game content that's above their age range, I make sure to lock that stuff down. That's what I do. Because I shouldn't be putting all the responsibility on a platform, that, when you look back at its roots, was meant for everybody to enjoy, everybody to have the opportunity to share what they brought to the table. It shouldn't be, up to them. It shouldn't be their responsibility. It should be the parents. So if I'm YouTube and Google, I need to reevaluate my policies. I need to come out and say, look, we understand where a lot of you are coming from, but if you want our opinion, it's, our truthful opinion, it's not us that you should put the blame on, it's the parents. It's the parents for not locking things down. It's their fault. They're the ones at fault here, not us. They need to come out and state that, so that way it puts everybody at ease, and it puts the parents who probably are behind these kind of situations, it puts the responsibility in their hands to be like, okay, let's go to the computers, let's lock these things down or something. Because the way things are going now, folks, is it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time before YouTube has to deal with another act. And we know, or another proposed bill, like the ones we've dealt with in the past. It's only a matter of time, and that's coming. I'm not sure what it will be or what it will entail, but it's coming. And I think to prevent that from happening, YouTube needs to step up. YouTube and Google and all these other platforms, Twitch, Dailymotion, VENMO, BitChute, MetaCafe, Facebook, Twitter, they need to step up and say enough of the criticism. We get it. We understand where you're coming from. We've put in options to prevent certain videos being seen by the younger viewers. But, even we can only do so much. It's up to you, the parent, to make sure that they don't access certain things you don't want them to watch. And that's the truth. That's the truth. End of discussion. That is the truth. And I honestly believe, this is what YouTube, Google, and all these other platforms need to do. They need to come out and state, look, it's not really on us. Yes, we'll take part of the blame, but you, the parents, you're the ones that allow this to happen. You need to take responsibility, not us. And by doing this, they'll be able to at least let, ladies and gentlemen, people like Joe Vargas, James Rolfe, Linkara, Doug Walker, JD from NY206, Just Alex, it will allow them ease of mind to realize, hey, our content will probably finally get demonetized. Or not demonetized, but remonetized, that's what it's at right now, but it'll put their minds at ease, knowing that their content will get reinstated, re-monetized, if you will, and that basically they won't have to worry anymore, because now not only has YouTube and these other platforms come out and said, hey, yeah, we take part of the blame, but it's mostly your fault, parents, for allowing this to happen, that hopefully the parents will acknowledge that hopefully the parents will realize, yeah, we do need to step up and make sure none of this happens, to make sure our kids, our teenagers, don't have access to content on platforms like YouTube that they shouldn't be watching. But yeah, in my opinion, what YouTube is doing right now, the policy, it is strange. It does. I mean, and the thing, like I said, it makes sense, and we all understand why they're doing it, and that's obvious, and it's obvious why they're giving us all these other monetization options, from advertising our merchandise at places like Teespring and such, or allowing us to have the join membership button and stuff and things like that, and advertise our Patreons. We get that and we understand that and we appreciate it. We do, because I think when you look at the silver lining, them still allowing people like Angry Joe and others to do that, they realize that it's not that they do realize basically by allowing that stuff to still be utilized by people like Joe Vargas, Linkara, Alex, JD and all that. By allowing them to still have that option, they realize that, hey, it's not totally our fault. It's not totally our fault. Yes, we have to do something to send the message of, hey, you have to limit what you show, or say, or you got to figure out how to show something, in your video without showing certain things that may, be more than what it is. Obviously they have to do that to kind of make the public image look good. But honestly, by still allowing a lot of that to happen, to take place, again, it's a silver lining that makes them realize that, hey, it's not totally the fault, and it's the fault of the people that allow the younger kids, the younger teenagers, to have access to the content they shouldn't be watching. So, in my opinion, yes, YouTube and Google do need to take some of the blame. But again, we are in an era, 2023, which is an important year. An important year because, guys, this is a year before the elections for president. This is a year before we vote in a new president, possibly, in 2024. So a lot of things are going to happen. And who knows? Maybe with this now Republicanly controlled House, or led by Kevin McCarthy, maybe with them, equaling out some of the seats, or at least getting a majority of seats in the Senate to at least be on par with the Democrats. Who knows? Maybe they might come up with something that says, enough woke culture, enough SJW, enough cancel culture. We get it. Your message has been sent. Leave us alone. Let these companies do what they have to do to make a living. Let the people that, go out there and create art, if you will, and make money off it, no matter what it sustains or has, let them be able to do that. Because if they're not harming anybody, then let them make a living. And maybe that's what happens. Maybe it's the Republicans that, shut all the council culture, SJW, woke culture down and said enough. And maybe that's what happens. I don't know. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what the future holds. But I think the reason 2023 will be an interesting year, as everybody's pointing out, is when it comes to YouTube, is mainly because of the fact that it's a year where basically the presidential run of Joe Biden not only is going to be in question, right now, but also the fact that it's the last full official year before Biden has to go on the freaking road, and start campaigning for a re-election if he even gets one. So it is going to be an interesting year. And if any of these government leaders in our states, our governors and all that, want to remain in power, or even have anybody, those even against them, to consider them as potential presidential candidates in the future that are for the people, then they need to step up right now and be for the people. They need to step up and let those that are causing companies like YouTube and Google to, let's be honest, lose some freaking money here, and lose maybe potential content creators to other platforms that are just starting up, and sooner or later are probably going to head to that stratosphere that YouTube's at right now, and if not beyond. If they want people to consider them for a potential presidential run in the future and being for the people, they need to step up for the people right now. Look at those that are making, life miserable for those at YouTube and, YouTube, at places like YouTube, Google, Twitch, Amazon, wherever, and say, enough with you guys. Enough. You got your message across, enough. And if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. But yeah, 2023, I do agree, is going to be an interesting year when it comes to YouTube, because I do believe YouTube will correct they will correct this situation. YouTube, Google will address and correct this situation as the year further goes on. I do believe that, because I don't think they're going to want to lose any potential partnerships or anything from major studios and networks and all that that are teamed up with them right now. I don't think they're going to want that, because apparently, if the algorithm is not working correctly, right now with people like Angry Joe and JD and Alex and others, to where them videos get demonetized for just the teensy weensy bits of unknown, uncertifiable reasons. What do you think is going to happen if that algorithm gets out of control just enough to where now even the bigger platforms, the shows, even the modern day shows get hit? And it causes the studios, even though it wouldn't really affect them, but, financially, it causes the studios to start losing some money. Because part of the revenue comes from streaming of their shows, no matter what the platform. And if they lose a little bit of that YouTube incentive, because YouTube's algorithm is like, we're not too sure about this, even if, like I say, even though it won't affect them, they're not going to be happy, and they'll let YouTube know it. They will let YouTube know it. So I do believe, sometime this year, things will be corrected. I think, again, the reason they're doing this is because of public image, and also, like I said, politically, as crazy as that sounds, we are in an era right now where it's the last official, real presidential year in office of Joe Biden before he has to go back on the road and start campaigning for re-election, if he wants it, next year, against other fellow Democrats that want to take his place, that feel he's not doing a good job, Republicans that feel he's not doing a good job, independents, grass party, you name it. So yeah, I do agree it's going to be an interesting year. And yeah, I do agree YouTube does need to take part of the blame, but honestly, I don't think YouTube should take all of the blame. I think they're just basically in a situation where their hands are not totally tied behind the back, but basically they're being watched right now because of the certain groups that are out there that are basically preventing these kind of things or preventing people like an Angry Joe and his crew from making a living. Because let's be honest, they look at people like Angry Joe, and they look at someone like James Rolfe and even Doug Walker, and they're like, and they don't come out. I mean, I'm sure some of them have come out and said it, but there are those in those cultural groups that I mentioned. They'll look at them and be like, James, Joe, Doug, stop doing these damn videos and go get a real job. That's how they view it. And again, because YouTube's such a major target, because of the platform they are, they're putting the blame on YouTube for making these people like Joe and James and Doug become fat and lazy because they're not going out and getting real jobs. And you know what, if that's the case, then why don't they just come out and tell those guys that? Why don't they come out and tell someone like Lindsay Ellis that? Why don't they come out and tell somebody, like some of the female YouTubers out there that make a living, that? Why don't they tell them that? Because this affects them too. Why don't they tell them that? So, again, I believe right now they don't have their hands tied completely, but because woke culture, cancel culture, the SJWs and all that are still a thing, not just politically, but all about, even probably within the offices of YouTube and Google themselves. They have to base, even though, like I said, the hands are not completely tied, they have to do these things to get these people, to keep these people off their back until the right time presents itself. And I do believe that before the summer, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but before the summer, we will get, resolution to this, and YouTube and Google will resolve these issues. And hopefully, seeing what's going on in Washington with the removal of certain left-wingers, council culture members, and all that from Congress and the House, they will take a lesson from that and be like, you know what? Whoever here is a woke culture member, SJW, whatever, council culture member, if you don't like what we're allowing to happen, get out. That should be the message, and I think it's going to be the message. If you don't like what we're presenting or allowing to be uploaded and, utilize this content, get out. And that's probably what will happen. That's probably what will happen. Again, I could be wrong, but I do believe 2023 will be, as we get into December, will be a time where YouTube and Google will address this and basically fix these things. Because don't they have like some kind of convention or something like that coming up on the East Coast where they talk about stuff and everything? Well, if that's the case, I think this will be one of the things they address, and hopefully they say, hey, we heard your cries, we heard your outcry, I should say, we heard your criticism, we fixed it. As you have noticed, some of your accounts have been remonetized, some of your channels have been remonetized. We get it. We shouldn't have allowed that to happen. We've taken care of it. And maybe they address it. Maybe they come out and say, yeah, one of the reasons we had to do that is because we had certain people on our staff, not going to name anybody, but we had certain people on our staff that were members of cancel culture, woke culture, and the SJWs. And that's why we couldn't really do much, because basically, they would turn around and, basically reapply it or something. I don't know. But I do believe YouTube and Google, they've proven that they've been able to fix things in the past. They've proven that they do listen to the fans, the content users, and everything, the partners in the past, to go and fix things. And I think that's what they're going to do this year as well. So yeah, in closing, all what they do, is what they're doing right now a bad thing? Yeah, kind of. But again, you have to understand, like I said, the situation they're in, from all fronts, in my opinion. But I do believe they're going to fix it. I really do. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are on how YouTube and Google is doing with these policies that are really financially, affecting, not too much, because a lot of us, when it comes to our channels, we have a lot of videos. So it doesn't really affect a lot of our videos, period. Or our channels, as well. But let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know how you feel about this entire situation. Do you believe YouTube and Google, like they've shown they can do in the past, will listen to the creators, the content creators, and the partners in the future, basically later this year, to address these issues and fix them? Let me know what your thoughts are. Comment below, live chat during the premiere. You will get an audio podcast version of this on my BW Roses Discussions podcast and all your favorite audio podcast locations except for Pandora. Also, support me over at Venmo at Brian-Roman-2, Cash App at BWRoses98, Patreon.com/BWRoses with the $1 or $3 tier. Also, support me over at, believe it or not, VENMO at BW Roses, and support me at my Teespring store for content you can't get anywhere else. You'll be seeing the annotations, or at least the links, picture-wise, square-wise, whatever, at the end of the video as we speak. Upper left-hand corner for the Teespring store, access to related videos as well in the upper left-hand, in the upper right-hand corner and bottom left-hand corner as well. And like I said, in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, you will get a link to the Teespring store for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are. And until next time, I am out.